What's up, guys? Welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm joined by Harry, of course. Harry, I'd ask you how you're doing, but I already know the answer to that. To many of yours discomfort and some mine and Harry's delight, we have agreed to disagree. We are not going to talk about the Newcastle game because it's done, and I'm just sick to death of talking about the exact same things till I'm blue in the face. So we're going to have a week away. We're going to have a week to breathe. Next week we'll preview the North London derby. So this will be a lot shorter episode. We're going to talk about transfer window. We're going to rate each signing out of 10, incomings and outgoings, have a general chat about the transfer window, and there's already conversations about work we're trying to put in January, so maybe a little bit of talk about what we think we missed out on in the summer that we can add to January. So let's start. I'm being very direct. I like our style of play. I'm trying to find outgoings, our players out. Here we go. So, oh my God, it's a mile-long list. So,
outgoing, it's all fucked off.
So let's talk about, first of all, wait, hold on. I've fucked it here. No, because it's show. Right, so first of all, Tanguy Ndombele, terminating contract. For me, that's a 10 out of 10 decision. It was 100% the right thing to do. He was never going to play for Spurs again. The guy's just...
Problem is, a lot of these players should have been gone 2 years ago. It's just pathetic.
Yeah, it is pathetic. Do you think we should have tried to get some sort of transfer fee, or do you think terminating his contract was the right decision?
The guy's been here way too long.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that. Ivan Perisic went to...
Actually, I'm unhappy about that Perisic one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, especially with Solanke now. We'll talk about him in a second. But I think the way Perisic had that interlink with Richarlison, when they did play together, I thought they were really effective. So I feel like...
as well.
Yeah, and he's quite two-footed. So I feel like he would have been good rotation on that left-hand side. Yeah. I just think maybe he would have only been a super sub because of his legs, and he's getting on.
But we didn't use him that way last season anyway, as a super sub.
But my thought process is, could we justify that kind of wage on a player who's a substitute?
I would say that, but we signed a certain German, so I'm not...
Well, okay. If you're asking me Perisic or Werner, then I'm biting around off and I'm taking Perisic in one leg in a wheelchair. Yeah. So, I'd say 3 out of 10 decision. I say it makes sense for the wages.
That's about right, I think. I don't think it makes any sense. But he was injured, wasn't he, when we sold him?
Yeah, he was injured when we sold him, and he recovered really well, and then he's been sold again already by the club that he went to. So that's one of them. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. People are going to agree to disagree. Long term makes sense. Short term, maybe not so much. Joe Rodon to Leeds. I think that's an 8 out of 10 sale. I think it's a great fee. I think... He never struck me. We've said this before, but he never struck me as a Tottenham player from the minute we signed him.
Jose didn't even want him. He wanted Skriniar, so
yeah. So he never struck me as a Tottenham. I got no problem with him when he wore the shirt. He tried his best, but I think we got good value for money, and I think it's a good. I think that's one of those. That's a great move for all parties involved.
I mean, he's gone now. I'm just happy he's left, so I don't know.
No, but how would you rate how much we got for him and whatever else?
7 or 8, I guess. I don't really care about the transfer fee. I just care that they've left, to be honest. That's all I care about.
Okay, fair enough. Tanganga went on a free.
I'm quite upset about that, to be honest. Because
it's a shame because he started his first career so well.
He should have won, but the reason I'm upset is we fucked his career up because we kept putting them in. I think Jose's part to play in the good and positives of Tanganga's career because he brought him in, he chucked him out left back, right back, centre back. So he didn't really have a chance to nail on the actual spot. But yeah. I really liked him as a player. I thought he had the attributes to be really good. But I think the injuries messed him up, but I think we also messed him up in terms of his position. So
I think everybody has a part to play in him. I think everybody has a part to play in his Spurs career not being successful.
I'm 5 for that one. I know it was on the 3, but 5.
I'm gonna go 7. I think it's better than us paying for a loan for another year and then.
But I think it was always going to go anyway.
Yeah. Troy Parrott to AZ Alkmaar. The total fee was about €8 million in the end. I'm not going to lie. I feel like we could have got a little bit more. He had a really good loan spell.
Not really. I mean,
no. He had a really, really good loan spell in the team that got relegated in Holland, and I think we could have maybe pushed it to 10. So I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10. I think we could have got more money for him.
Like 6.
I'm glad that he's gone, but I just think we could have got a little bit more money for him.
Oh. Is that Limonata? Is that 8 out of 10?
It is, yeah. It's not
Good.
as good because it hasn't got alcohol mixed with it this
Okay.
time around. Højbjerg to Marseille, 10 out of 10. Get that prick out of my club. And the reason why I'm saying this...
I'm fine for that one because we sold it as number 6. We don't have any number 6s anymore.
I'm not having this argument with you again. We don't play traditional number 6s.
Which is the problem.
No, it's not because
it is the problem.
Right, we're not going to talk about. We swore we weren't going to do this week. We're going to have a normal, relaxing.
I'm just saying that's 5 out of 10 because he wanted to go, so I have no choice but let him go. But I don't want him to go because now we have no number 6s.
Okay, I'm going to say 10 out of 10 for him going. 1, because I think we probably got more money than I was actually expecting in the end, and 2, because the guy's an absolute Mason Greenwood supporting prick, and I'm not even going to go into my opinions on that on the podcast, but yeah, I mean, he's an absolute bellend, and I'm glad he's gone. Good riddance. Ryan Sessegnon to Fulham on a free. Funny story. Yeah, 10 out of 10, I'll agree with that. Funny story. You know, all 3 players we signed in that 2019. Yeah, no, they've gone for like 10 minutes. They've all gone back. No. They've all gone back to the clubs we signed them from.
Really? For like nothing, isn't it? I think
for nothing. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Brian Hill to Girona. I'm going to go with 6, just purely for the fact that I wish it was an option. Well, no, sorry. I wish it was an obligation had certain criteria be hit. That being said, he started well. I think if Girona make it to the... Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think if Girona make it to the knockouts of the Champions League, I think he will go. They'll have the finances. I think he will go. Because they need to replace the winger they sold to City. So
6 is probably about right.
Yeah, it's about right, I'd say. Iago Santiago.
I don't know anything about him, so you're asking on
I don't know. I had high hopes for him when he first broke through. I'm probably going to go a 5. It's just one of those players. He never really kicked on. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing. A lot of
Spurs actually really liked him, but yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of on the hype train when he first broke through, but never really proved it. Valise, right? Listen, this is a weird one for me because
we've got no strikers.
I think going to Espanyol isn't a bad move, and I think it's already been effective for him. He's already scored. You already see how he fits in the system. So he will get game time and he will be utilised well, and therefore he will score goals, which is a good sign. The reason why I'm against it is because I wish he'd gone to a Premier League club. If you are going to come in and you are going to play for Tottenham at any point in your career, this is the kind of year, 22 years old, you know, Palace spent God knows how much on Nketiah. Could have gone to there. Could have gone to Brentford to replace Ivan Toney. I feel like he could have gone so many places to gain English match playing experience that would have given us fans a real indication whether he could play for us or not. And I don't think we're going to get that. I do think he will have a good loan spell, barring he doesn't get injured.
There's another issue with him to Spain. You know what happened to Brian Hill when he kept loaning him back to Spain?
Yeah.
And in the end, he went back. So
he went back. I've got a feeling, but we signed him from the Argentinian league, to be fair, not from Spain. So
yeah, but a lot of Argentines speak Spanish, don't they? I swear they speak Spanish.
Don't know. I'm going to say 6 out of 10. Loan move itself is good, but I wish he'd gone to a Prem club. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
Emerson Royal to AC Milan. 10 out of 10. Right, listen. Yeah, it's kind of like Sissoko towards the end. Bit of a cult hero. He always gave it his all, and we'll all remember that stretch of 5, 6, 7 games at centre back where he was absolutely incredible.
I was like,
no, that 5, 6, 7 game stretch where he was played at centre back and he was absolutely insane and didn't put a foot wrong, and we were all like, oh my god, what the fuck? Where does this player come from? But it was very short lived. He was an absolute. He gave when we sit there and talk about traditional Tottenham, we sit there and talk about players that give absolutely everything for the shirt, blood, sweat, and tears, and he did that every time he put on the shirt. His ability just isn't good enough. But his ability just wasn't good enough. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it represents good value for money, given the cameo that he's had at us for the last 2 years. I think it represents
longer than that. He's been there since Nuno.
All right, 3 years. I think it represents good value for money. I think we needed him to go. I'm gutted it didn't work out because his personality and his character.
But he's got no ability.
No, but this is what I'm saying to you, that I'm gutted it worked out. His personality and his character is fantastic and exactly what we want to see in a Spurs player. But his ability just isn't there. So I think I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
I'm 10 out of 10, man. He's gone. I'm so happy he's gone.
Okay. Dane Scarlett to Oxford United. Now, we said this a few weeks ago.
Is it permanent? Sorry, right?
It's a loan. It's a loan.
I think it's like 4, to be honest, because I don't think it's a high enough level for him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I would also say that I feel like
he played some first team games last year. Well, not played, but you know what I mean. He came on like a few times.
He's 20. He was actually born the same day as my brother. That's nuts. Interesting. I think he should have got a higher quality loan, championship loan, probably.
At least, yeah.
At least, and I think championship would have been about right. I am worried that he's not going to have a future at Tottenham.
Well, if he goes to teams like Oxford, then.
Yeah. No, it's not that, because we've had players go on loan at really poor clubs before and been incredible and then come on to do us and do great things. But my concern is, they just don't seem established enough. He's not gone to a club where you can see him slotting in and being a goal scorer straight away. And it just worries me a little bit. I think his future at Tottenham is uncertain now.
Personally.
Yeah. Next outgoing, Jamie Donnelly to Leyton Orient is a loan. First of all, I'd like to point out, as day of us recording this, which is obviously Tuesday, he got a yellow card or got a caution playing against Arsenal within like 4 minutes of being on the pitch. I think that's a really good loan spell. Leyton Orient have a great track record of looking after our players, supporting our players' mental and physical well-being when they're on loan in places like that. And I think they've got a good group of lads over there. He can grow in confidence. He's relatively local. I think it'll be a real benefit for him.
7.
Early days, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for a loan. I think it has the potential to be a 10 out of 10 loan come the end of the season. But I think all the infrastructure's in place. Yeah, exactly. All the infrastructure's in place for it to be successful, so long as he kicks on. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. How many more are there? There must be a lot.
Yeah, we're still good. Oliver Skipp to Leicester. I think 10 out of 10. I think it represents good value for money. I get to watch Harry Winks and Oliver Skipp relegate Leicester, so that's the 10 out of 10. And then he'll move to an actual decent club, but it's not Spurs when Leicester get relegated. So I think it's a 10 out of 10.
7.
Why?
Because again, he's a number 6. We let go of.
Yeah, but he hasn't got the technical ability to be a number 6 in Andrew's system anyway.
But we don't play with the 6. You said that's the problem.
All right, he hasn't got the technicality.
Also, the reason that it represents a problem with the homegrown thing. I mean, I don't know if we solved that, but.
Okay, yeah, all right. I'll reduce it to a 9 just purely because of the lack of homegrown, the increase of potential homegrown issues. But I'm glad he's gone because he just wasn't quite good enough for us. It's one of those players. He got to live out his dream at Spurs, fair game, but he's just not quite good enough to.
He didn't kick on at all after. It's like Wayne didn't kick on after his first season or two.
Yeah, the thing is, what annoyed me is Skipp had an incredible loan spell at Norwich. If you remember that the year or whatever it was, he was at Norwich. He was insane. I think we just got the decisions wrong with him.
I just don't think he has the ability, really. But
Jude Snoopson Bell.
I don't know who that even is. So
he's a youth academy player. Again, another one I had high hopes for when he first broke out. 7 out of 10 is what it is, isn't it? Yeah. Ashley Phillips to Stoke. Right. I have a huge issue with this. When he was loaned to Plymouth last year, Plymouth had an identity. You could see how they were going to play. They were playing really well. It made sense. He went in. His form hit well. He was man of the match almost every week. It was perfect for him, right? He's gone into a Stoke side. And I don't know a lot about where Stoke are and what they're doing now. But all I know is they haven't been within shot of the Premier League for like God knows how long. Mark Hughes days, probably. So why is he not gone? He's got the ability to play Luton, a team that are going to be fighting to come up. They don't look like it at the minute.
They're the Championship, right? Aren't they?
Yeah, they are, but they're always bottom half of the Championship. I think
not Luton, a bad one. Shall I tell you why? Because it might teach him a bit of brute strength and shit like that.
No, but that's where I think any Championship loan would have done that. This is where I would have wanted him to go to a team that you expect to be fighting for playoffs, but not one of the better teams in the playoffs. That's what I would have wanted for him.
For me, it's like an 8 or a 9.
I think I'm going to give it a 4. I think loan to a Championship is perfect for regular game time and for what it's going to do for him mentally and physically, but Stoke are the wrong club, in my opinion. Manuel Solomon, 8. It would have been a 10 if it was a permanent deal. And I think it will be one of those deals where it becomes permanent in the summer. Good riddance. That's what I'm going to say. We're almost there.
Makes you wonder why we signed him last time, to be honest. But
don't even go there. Giovanni Lo Celso.
I'm quite mixed about this. I'm going 5.
I'm going to say a 5. Yeah, I'd agree 5. My reason is because I think I'm kind of glad we sold him because Andrew clearly wasn't going to play him. But I don't think it represents good value for money. That deal is the most.
For me, it's more to do with the fact that he actually played quite well for us when he played in the short spells last season. His issue is can't stay fit. And
yeah, his wages are quite high. He was going to go on a Bosman in January anyway. It made sense to get rid. And that moves us on to the incomings. But before we go to the incomings, let's talk about the maybe we might sign you in 3 or 4 years' time. What the fuck are the conditions of that Lo Celso deal? Please help me understand.
What do you mean?
So,
the Cardoso guy. So how I understood it is it's like we're investing in stock or something. So we have a condition where if we don't buy him but he gets sold, we get a percentage of the sell-on fee or something.
Yeah.
But we have when it said top priority, I assume we have first dibs. That's how I took it.
Yeah, so the way I read it, because we wanted 30 million for Lo Celso and they want 30 million for this guy.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying, we'll take the player now, kind of play what's the equivalent to a loan fee, but we'll keep him instead. If you want to buy one of our players, you can buy him for exactly what you wanted Lo Celso for. Because those fees are the exact same. We wanted 30 million euros for Lo Celso, and that's what they've put on this price tag.
Yeah.
And if you don't want him, to make up for the hassle that we've caused you, we'll give you a percentage. So let's say we've got a 35% sell-on clause, I think it is. So let's say goods go for that 30 million.
Yeah.
We'll get just under half of that. You know, so it'll end up being, no matter what, either Spurs will sign a player for exactly what we would have sold Lo Celso for, therefore it becomes a straight swap plus whatever they've paid, like 4 million euros this year, or we'll end up getting 4 million euros plus maybe another 15, maybe 20 at a push for Lo Celso. At that point, it's almost the 30 million euros that we would have paid. Yeah. So I do actually logistically understand why we've done it. Now, when I look at the stats of this Cardoso guy, he looks like a balance between Basuma and between the kind of 6 that you want.
But again, he's a young player, so we don't know what he's going to be like.
No, we don't, but we'll get to watch. And I think Spurs will be keeping tabs on him for sure.
I imagine they'll make a decision next summer. But
I think if we haven't signed him by next summer, we won't sign him.
Yeah.
That would be my assessment. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one we go and pull in January.
You think?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's one we go and pull in.
Well, it depends if Andrew's still here or not as well. But
I'm not going to entertain that conversation. Incomings, right. So,
there's not a lot.
The deal was, there's not. The deal was done in January, but we'll talk about it now. Lucas Bergville, I think that's going to be
5.
I'm saying 8. The reason being, he's very, very young. He is very, very raw. But there's clearly positive signs there. I just think he will need consistent game time. And I think, like Dragusin, when we see him playing the Europa League and he starts playing 90 minutes once a week, I think we'll see the player that he's capable of being. It's a lot of money. It's an interesting one. It's a lot of money for a player that inexperienced. But that seems to be the mould.
Well, which is a bit stupid, I think.
That seems to be the mould Ange wants. So I'm going to give it you know what? I'm going to reduce it. I'm going to go 7 out of 10. But I think by the end of the season, we'll be looking at a 9.
I'm thinking about 5 because,
you hate young people.
They're an 18-year-old now. For me, they're all like banking on potential. So
this is the one we're probably going to agree on. Timo Werner, I'm going to give it a 1.
0.
I just think, you know what? No, I'm giving it a 1 because it is an extra player. But we argued this at the start of the year. Thanks. We argued this at the start of the season, and I tried to defend his case. But the wages are extortionate.
I just don't understand.
It doesn't make sense. You can't tell me there's not a better winger we couldn't get on loan from somewhere in Europe for half the wages. I'm not even going to talk about Chiesa because I don't think he was an Ange target. The links were never strong enough. It was a fan choice, not a manager.
I think he's a better player than Werner.
Yeah, but regardless of whether he's a better player or not, it's not on the shopping list if the manager doesn't want him. But what I'm saying to you is there must have been better players on the shopping list available on loan. You know, I'd have rather gone and got Jadon Sancho on loan.
Who was the one we were linked with before? Hudson-Odoi, wasn't it? I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd rather have
Hudson-Odoi than Werner.
I don't like Hudson-Odoi, but I'd rather have him than Werner. This one we're going to agree to disagree on. Archie Gray, I'm going to say 7. Purely because there's definitely a player in there. It's the type of 6 that Ange wants. And
he played. You know what? He's playing right back predominantly last season for Leeds. You do know that, right?
he started the majority of the season at the beginning of the season at CDM. So
But
he
then he
only
was
went
playing at right back.
okay.
No, it does make a
Versatility.
difference because if he was supposed to be this insane six and generational player and blah blah, he would be playing six at least at Leeds.
No, he was moved to right back at Leeds because they didn't have another option. He was a shooter Phil because he was happy to play anywhere. This is what annoys me so much, right? Is people see and people hear what they see and hear, and people go, "Oh,
I
Archie
watched,
played at right back. He can't be that good in midfield." Trust me
I
when I
watched
tell you.
at least 10 Leeds games last season because someone I work with supports Leeds, so I ended up watching quite a bit of them. If I'm being quite honest with you guys, I don't think Gray was even Leeds' best player last season. I probably would give it someone like Somerville from what I saw, who's gone to, of course, West Ham. And bear in mind, it's another 18-year-old, another player we paid big money for. I know Rodon went the other way, but it's a massive gamble. We need an established name in there rather than just another gamble and youngster who hasn't even played. Actually, he hasn't started the game yet, and he's supposed to be this good. He might be good in a few years, but I think he would have benefited more with guys staying another year at Leeds or something, or another Championship club.
We'll talk about like the age demographic and the kind
Because
of
there's a
approach we've
problem
taken on
here.
that in a
We just
second.
bought like 4 or 5 youngsters, and then it's like
We'll talk about the youngster approach in a second because we've still got two
I think
players
it's
to
a
go.
bit stupid, to be honest, at this point.
Dom Solanke, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. My only issue with it is I think it's about 10 million too much. But given the fact that he's homegrown, and we spoke about the homegrown issue with Skipp, I think he does fill that void. And that extra 10 million we paid is probably because he's homegrown, let's be honest.
That's what I explained to you, but yeah.
But I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I think we've ever so slightly overpaid.
We are going
I think
off
he'll be
one
brilliant.
season already. 119 goal season. Before that, he wasn't hitting numbers.
Yeah, but come on. Yeah, but okay, but let me give you this proposal though.
And he's
Bournemouth,
like 27,
the way
28, I think.
is he fuck? He's 26. He's 27 in
like
11
a few days,
days.
I think.
11 days, yeah. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Tom Slanky, score a goal. Please score another goal.
I think it's
Tom Slanky,
before the Arsenal game or something, isn't it? I think it's birthday or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So the reason why I slightly disagree with your point is because the years before, when he's played at Bournemouth, he's played pretty much anyhow tried to play attacking football, but he would be conservative if he needed to be. If you look at the way,
it's a very good thing, to be honest. I mean,
if you look at the way the Bournemouth manager played last season, it was very attacking, it was very aggressive, it was very balls into the box, it was all press heavy, it was very, on the front foot. It's exactly how we're trying to play. So, in that regard, I don't understand how a player being picked up from an identical style of play once you're in the final third, picked up and moved into another identical style of play, but with better players putting the balls in, how he's not going to score a similar amount of goals.
because it's not just to do with the supply sometimes. Sometimes it's the ability of the player. Like, if you could supply
what I'm saying is,
like 50 chances, he's probably not score
no,
one.
but what I'm saying to you, right, is if you played for Watford, for example, in a championship, and I put 30 crosses or low crosses across the box in the whole season, and you score 27 goals, and then I take you to Man City.
I hope I'd hit those numbers, but I don't think I will. But
no, but it's an example. and then you sign for Man City in a groundbreaking record deal. Where's my cup, by the way? And you go to Man City, and Jack Grealish alone puts 30 low crosses into you, not including all the other players. If your positioning to be on the end of those crosses is identical in both teams, you're going to score more goals in the team that create more chances, are you not?
Like I said, it depends on the ability of the player, because we've only seen him do it one season.
But this is what I'm saying to you. A player doesn't ever do it for one season if the ability isn't there.
Well, we see this season.
His career has been hindered by style of play.
No, we'll see this season how many goals he gets.
We will.
Because I've gained Darren Bent vibes off him, unfortunately.
Oh, not a chance. Completely disagree with that. Do you know, one of my mates, this is a podcast the other day, turned it off after 3 minutes because you made that comment. What I will say is...
Because for me, I'm not saying he's not going to score any goals, but I think he'll get like 10 to 15.
If he gets that in the league and then goes and gets another 10 across all other competitions, that's not a bad season for his first season with us, to be honest.
Yeah, but then he'll be 28 the season after that, so he'll have to be hitting like big numbers by that point. I mean,
yeah. The other thing I was going to say is, just so you know, I'm counting Brennan Johnson's goal contribution as 0.5 from the weekend.
That doesn't count. Sorry, that was an own goal.
It does. Yeah,
it's an own goal. Sorry, it's an own goal. OG.
He did all of it.
No, it's an OG, bro. It's an OG, bro.
I'm having half an assist.
Do you know how bad that was? Like how the goalkeeper carried it down and hitting the bloody net.
I'm having half.
I'm sorry, doesn't count.
I'm having half an assist for that. Guys in the comments, guys in the comments, do I get half an assist for that? For the
zero.
All I'm saying is every game we start without a striker, I'm being robbed of Brendan Johnson chances. I could finish some of the crosses he put into the box, but we're not even going to go there. We'll save that for next week. And the last one, Wilson Odobert, I think 7 out of 10. He's very, very young and very unproven, and he didn't play particularly well against Newcastle. He did play well against Everton. I thought there is a lot to come from him. But what you've got to remember is when we signed someone like Son, for example, he was very inconsistent, was only averaging sort of 4 goals in the season, and he was like early 20s at that point. This guy's got like at least 3, 4, 5 years on that. When we signed Son, and he was in those kind of low
like his first game though.
No, maybe he did score for against Palace, yeah. But what I'm saying, Son's first 2 seasons, I think, were not great. And it took a while, because if you remember the second season... I think
he wasn't the mainstay in the team till like second year or something.
But if you remember, in the second summer, we were linked with selling him to Wolfsburg, and he said, no, I want to stay and fight for my place.
No, I think... Was it Poch who tried... I can't remember who it was. Someone said to him. I know our fan base wanted to sell him, I remember that. But.
Yeah, well, yeah. So... and that's proves my point.
Funny though, is he'd played in the Champions League with Leverkusen for like a year or two. I'm sure of that.
But what I'm saying is this Wilson Odobert's got 2 years on that, 3 years on that.
Because I've yet to see any end product.
But this is the whole argument I mean the other day that
I just told you someone scored in the first game, so he has end product. We know from like the get go. Odobert missed one of the biggest chances I've ever seen. I've never seen him miss a chance like that in like years.
But what you got to remember, Son was 23 when he signed for Spurs. This kid's got 4 years on that. You can't tell me in the next 4 years
I'm not going to rate him
like
7, 8, 9 because the guy is not showing me anything. He's looked all right, like running with the ball, and that's all right. But I saw more output of Lennon in his first season, to be honest.
I think he's going to be one of those players that, like I say, when there's more minutes, when people are playing the Europa League, I think the Europa League is going to be big for the form and development of so many of these players that you're
I think lower. Underestimating the opposition in the Europa League as well, because I'm not confident with that either, to be honest. I mean, we always say we're going to beat this team, we're going to smash this team, and then we play them. We'll kind
of preview the Europa League.
Actually, European record was really bad.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that because I was waiting for you to bring that up about 6 weeks ago. We'll talk about that when the European... We'll talk about that when the European...
finish 9th, and then we'll have to do the knockouts thing.
We'll talk about that when the European games kick off. But yeah, so overall, outgoings, I still stand by my point. Regulon didn't go, which I'm a little bit annoyed about. I'm going to give it an 8 for outgoings. I think there was maybe a little bit more money to be made, and there was maybe 1 or 2 players that could have gone on permanent deals that weren't permanent deals, and then obviously there was 1 or 2 players that didn't go that could have gone. So I'm going to give it an 8 for outgoings. I'm not going to lie, and I don't know whether I'm being peer pressured by you or whether I've just kind of thought about it with a bit more logic. I'm going to drop my incomings to a 6. And the reason being, it is a lot of risk and it is on young players and there is a lot of pressure there. That being said, that's Ange's identity. That's what he wanted.
Does he really want this? Imagine coming out 12 months ago and saying after West Ham, I want to be in a title race in 12 months.
Yeah, but you can want to be in the title race and still manage young players. They're not mutually exclusive.
No, they are, because if you say stuff like that, you have to be proven like a mirror.
And what's right? Okay, but you're not Ange Postecoglou. You cannot tell me with 100% certainty that he doesn't believe these players are capable of winning the league.
Come on, let's be realistic. We're not winning the league, though.
I'm right, and at no point did I say we are. But what I'm saying to you is...
You can't say, oh, well, if you're not Ange. Well, if I'm Ange, I'm looking a bit like an idiot right now because I say we're going to challenge for a title in 12 months. Or I want to be challenged. And I signed a bunch of kids that might take, like you just said, 3 or 4 years.
Let me ask you a question, though.
So what I've said is not being reflected in what I've done in the summer.
Okay, but no, that depends on what his plan with Julian Large was at the end of last season. But you don't know that because you haven't seen the plan. I haven't seen the plan. Joe Blogs on Twitter hasn't seen the plan. Matey in the South Stand hasn't seen the plan. None of us have seen the plan.
There's no plan.
No, in your opinion.
Because I've seen it over the past 20 years, there is no plan. It's
in your opinion. I think, I honestly, hand on heart, think by the end of the season, you're going to be sat there going, do you know what? I was wrong. I genuinely think that. And the reason being, oh, shut up. I'll have to force it out of you. The reason being is I think you're massively underestimating some of these players. You don't go and spend £25 million on a winger, £40 million on a holding midfielder if you do not believe these players can come and be a part of your squad.
Why is Gray not starting?
Because we've got Basuma, who's got more experience, who's had more game time.
Why is Gray not starting? You said we dropped 40 million. Oh, he's going to be like. You see, these players should be starting. If they're starting, you reason you use the Europa League as a tangent thing is because it's like you see it as like a lesser competition, right? So which means these players must be lesser quality than the ones we already had.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, because if you're playing by, we're gonna. God knows what's gonna happen.
No, right? Okay, hold on for a second. Your argument in the summer when we were talking about the Europa League was, I don't want Ange to make 100% changes and play all the young players in the Europa League. Okay. So let me finish. No, he's not. Let me tell you why he's not. I guarantee you we'll see Gray starting at home to the likes of Southampton and Basuma playing against Galatasaray in the Europa League. And then Dragusin will start maybe a Premier League game against, I don't know, whoever the fuck, who's in the spot, Leicester or Ipswich or whatever. And then Romero might start a must-win Europa League game. We are going to see a lot mixed 11s between both. And I really just think it is so far too early in the season to sit there judging the impact of our transfer business. You can make an overall assessment based on what you believe the club needs.
Are we going to win this title?
No.
Yeah, then there's your answer.
No, we could have gone and signed Mbappe, Prime, Sergio Ramos and Ronaldo. We're still not going to win the fucking title. So,
what I'm saying is, what Ange should have said back then is said, look, we're building a... Even if he used words like dynasty or something like that, he shouldn't have said in 12 months, I hope to be in the title race. I'm like...
Right, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Because that's just gaslighting the fan base into what we've seen right now.
Slightly. Okay. I'd slightly agree with that. However...
I'll give you an example, David. Say if I told you I'm going to set you up with a bird and I got you, yeah, she's really fit, blah, blah, blah. She just shows hype. You turn up to the day and she looks like bloody Susan Boyle. What are you going to think? It's just like...
I'm going to be looking for a new co-host. Right. Listen. So, yeah, no, I get what you mean. But listen. Do you remember there was an interview on either BBC or Sky a while ago where a manager mentioned about wanting to be in a title race? Like a team that would never be in a title race. And people were mocking him. And his argument was, doesn't every manager at the start of the season go, I want to win the league?
But he didn't say that at the start of the season.
They're not
after West Ham.
No, but this is my point. Ange is never going to come out and go, mate, I'm happy with Champions League football for next season. I'm happy with Europa League football. He's always going to say, I'm in it to win it. No manager, if you are a manager and you are in any competition at any level, even if you were the worst team in the fucking division, right? No manager sits there at the start of the season and goes, don't worry about it, mate. We'll get relegated. Don't worry about it. It's chill. See you later. No manager does that. If you're in it, you're in it to win it.
Scott Parker did that. Do you remember?
Yeah, and he's a fucking knobhead. He might try managing Club Brugge and look at how that ended up.
He said, "Where you guys?"
And he's a fucking prick.
Where did you finish? 6th, 7th, 8th.
Yeah, because Conte's a fucking prick and throws his tennies out of the Prem every time 2 minutes.
No, I'm just saying. He told us where you guys want to finish 6th, 7th, 8th. He got sacked. Where do we finish 6th, 7th, 8th? Because that's what the level of quality of our play.
Right, no offence, but we were 1-0 down at the San Siro. And we're 1-0 down at home and against AC Milan and he bought on a centre-back. I don't really trust Antonio Conte's judgment to be used in this example.
Did you see the squad he had?
But again, the players but look at his example at Chelsea. You look at some of the players he brought in that drained their finances, that were fucking useless, that were on stupidly high wages. You don't need a manager.
He won a trophy in every season he had at Chelsea.
And Chelsea spent 5 years repairing it.
They had to repair a lot more than just Conte's spending. They had Jose's spending. They had Ancelotti's spending. The amount of managers Chelsea have had that spent big money is unbelievable. We can't just blame it all on Conte and say, oh, he bankrupted the club because he wanted one player or something. Like, it don't make sense.
No, okay, but what I'm saying is, at least with our model now, let's say, for example, in
This
12 months'
model
time,
has been the same model we've used for 20 years. It's just the same thing repeated.
I think there's more logic to our signings now than what there was in Poch's last season.
If I understand it when it's on I didn't have to be exactly his playing. I didn't want Neto, by the way. And Neto, Eze, Solanke, and someone else, maybe one kid. Yeah, maybe everyone's so obsessed with Gray, but by Gray or something, Odobert. Then I'd be like, okay, we've got one youngster that can bend into the team, and he can be a future star.
Let me ask you this question.
3, 4 first teamers that walk in. That's almost half the team upgraded, and then the other players drop. And the fact is, we didn't buy left-sided centre back or
left back. A left back, I agree with. A left back,
and I understand even before the summer even opened, we're talking like I think I read an interview. It was so I went to do some googling after, because I know this stuff. So I know this stuff. This is like after we signed Dragusin last season. They asked him, "Oh, so are you happy with Dragusin?" Blah 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 blah. He goes, "Yeah, but we're still looking to strengthen that area in the summer." And there was reports before the window opened we wanted a centre half, but we didn't do anything like that. We didn't.
Okay, but let me tell you. Number one, the main backup left back target we wanted has now got a long term injury. Paul O'Keefe even said the same thing. That was their main target to replace. I can't remember his name. Some guy from the Italian league. No, it was a guy from the French league.
William Vanderson. Is that Vanderson?
No, he's right back. I can't remember the left back's name, but and he's now sustained a major long term injury, and he was the main one we were looking at to rotate with Udogie.
I know it was Calafiori, we went Arsenal.
Yeah, no, it wasn't him. The other thing is, let me ask you this question, right? Eze went to Crystal Palace for what? I mean, it might have been 11, 12 million at the time. Spurs wouldn't play that because he was too unproven. Yeah. 18 months later, he's an £80 million player. And now you're begging Spurs to go out.
80.
Oh, all right, whatever. Well, no, because if you're paying
it, he had a release clause.
All right, well, okay, whatever. He's a £60 million player, right? You're sitting there begging the club to go and sign a £60 million player. Rightly so, he's a great player. Fair enough, no problem with that. But how many times have Spurs seen a lower level player gone, actually, he's too inexperienced, and 12 months later, not 2 years, not 5 years, not 10 years, 12 months later, they've been worth 50 million plus, and we've all sat there with our dick in our hands going, why the fuck didn't we just bite the bullet and take the risk?
There's
been so many players over the years.
I didn't personally want Eze, but there were so many links to Eze of so much.
Yeah, but I still stand my point, but they were all media links. But what I'm saying to you is
the club clearly were interested, and then what happened was Palace said they wanted X number of million up front. Levy didn't do the deal when we went to, I don't know, someone else. I don't know who it was.
But what I'm saying to you though is, do you not think, right? If we're sat here in 12 months' time and look at Elite, for example, how much did Palace spend on Elite? Peanuts, right? And in literally 18 months, he's gone for like 70, 80 million. Yeah. So if I said to you right now...
50, 60 million, actually.
All right, if I said to you right now, Barca, Real Madrid, whoever, in 12 months' time are bidding 60, 65 million for Odobert, you're going to be sitting there going... Well, okay, yeah, we've made profit on him. That was great signing a young player. We're giving him the opportunity.
They'll make a 60, 65 million for Odobert, to be honest.
But you say this, Harry, but the problem is you're so easy, right? And I'm going on a rant about you.
Let me finish another thing. Romero will be gone by next summer, and we'll have a problem there.
I'm not even going to start that conversation.
No, because that means so because we didn't do the right business this summer, we're going to be hurt next summer because one or two of our big players will go. And then we'll have to fix another problem.
But you can't guarantee that. If we win the Europa League this year, Romero's not leaving. But you can't say that. You cannot say that.
How many trophies have we won in the last 20 years?
Oh, my God. You can't base the season you're on based on the last 20 years.
I can, because the past always...
Okay, then. So Man United are winning the Premier League and the Champions League and the FA Cup this year.
Because in the past... years.
In the past, they've won. No, but your argument is in the past. So in the past, they've won the treble.
They won't win the FA Cup. They might win the Europa League because they would have done the Jose.
You are chatting out of your arse. There's not a chance Man United win the Europa League.
Because they won the Europa League, under Jose? How many years ago? 5
All right, 7 years ago.
Yeah, they might win the FA Cup. They won it last season. So it means
FA Cup's a valid argument.
Huh?
But they're going to win the Prem because they've won it God knows how many times, right?
No, the last time they won the Premier League though was how many years ago? 2013.
2004, 13,
And Arsenal, 20 years ago they won the Premier League. So the argument that doesn't make sense. I'm saying we've won the Carabao Cups. The most likely cup we're going to win, if we win any cup, it's probably going to be something like a League Cup or FA Cup at a push.
But then the Europa League we've won twice in our history. So what's to say that?
Yeah, that was like 1960 or 1970, 1980. That's like ridiculous. Yeah. So
but you can't. This is the problem. I feel like you manipulate arguments sometimes to be overly negative than you need to be.
It's not. It's realistic. I don't see us winning a trophy this season with the transfer business.
No, do you know what? Honest answer. I don't see us winning a trophy this season either. But what I'm saying to you is, you're ruling out players and dismissing players based on less than 180 minutes of football because they're young players and you don't want to sign them. You are not manager of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. It's not your tactic. Thank fuck for that. It's not your tactics. It's not your transfer policy. If Andrew's gone into Daniel Levy and gone, these are the specific players I want, and he's got, for argument's sake, 5 out of 7 of his targets.
If you really know about Odobert, you know the club were watching him for 2 years. So there was Andrew.
I hate when you bring up
Johnson. Brennan Johnson. You know who called me up about Brennan Johnson.
I'm not going to have this conversation. I hate having this conversation with you all the time because
Land said it in his interview himself.
But do you not think that
I don't think Andrew Brennan thought, oh, you know what? There's that Burnley winger, yeah. He's played 19 games for Burnley. You know what, mate? Let's go get Odobert. Like, come on.
Right. Okay, let me ask you this question. I can't believe this is ended up being a long podcast in the end. Right. Let me ask you this question. If a club's philosophy is young players, young attacking football. Right, let me think. Please, I'm going to scream. Please, I'm going to scream. In your opinion, right, before I scream. Right, listen, let's just let me speak. If a club's philosophy is young attacking players, young players that can be progressed and molded into gems for less than what you're paying for the almost finished article 2 or 3 years later. And that's a club's philosophy. And they go and pay a release clause for a manager whose footballing philosophy is identical to what the club's philosophy is. Is there not odds on that some of those scout reports for both are going to cross over?
Some.
And if you're saying Odobert was a transfer, Solanke was not in our radar at all before.
No, I'm saying Solanke was Andrew's choice, 100%.
100%.
Werner, unfortunately, I think is Andrew's choice too because he signed the player twice at this point.
I think so. I think
the guy's got problems if he's signing Werner. But what I'm saying is, this transfer policy has been running since 2005. We've been signing young players. We had young English players back in 2005, like Genus, Carrick, Lennon. I could read off another 10 names. Reto, and we had some Reto Ziegler, Dorian Derviat, you probably don't remember, Rodrigo Defendi. All these young players, we did that philosophy then. And that's okay. Doing that philosophy back then, David, I could be on board with it because we had an aging squad in 2004, Tarico, Jamie Redknapp.
But would you not argue the squad that we had before was an aging squad?
Not really. Like I say, there's a context here. So we were in White Hart Lane, and supposedly we're in White Hart Lane. We're really poor. We're trying to catch up to the players. This is ENIC's second project, per se, because they had Glenn Hoddle and David Pleat in project 1, and they were and Hoddle wanted a certain type of player. Anyway, I'm not going to get into details about that. But this was the first rebuild under ENIC. And I was on board with this because we signed, I think, 10 players that summer. Including Paul Robinson, by the way, he was a first-team goalkeeper. I'm sorry, Paul Robinson. Pedro Mendes. So some established, some young. But they were everyone knew this. We're going for young British players. That was the philosophy back then, right? And we did this for up until constantly really, but up until Redknapp. And Redknapp was, for me, the manager that was a coming of age of all these players like Bale, Lennon, obviously and Modric, Huddleston even, you can argue at the time because he was coming of age. So
we kept the process of young players, but we broadened our horizons for where we signed them from.
That 5-year thing happened by the time Redknapp turned up. That was the 5-year rebuild done. And instead of pushing on and signing the players we needed to sign to win the title or the trophy, we signed Salah and Nelson in 2012. And that's anyway. And then we brought in AVB. And AVB again wanted a certain type of player. Again, we signed some young players again. Obviously, it didn't work. Bale kind of saved our skin that season. And then he went to Real Madrid. Then we signed 7 players. Again, 20-ish-year-old players, blah, blah. Again, we signed Young to sell on, and blah, blah. So we had Lamela, Ericsson, and Poch came in. And again, I think Poch sort of got lucky because Rose was coming through, Kane was coming through.
He had the right balance of youth and experience at the right time.
Skeleton there, and he just added like a few players. And again, we were 2 or 3 players short because we signed like Nkudu, Janssen, Zoko. But what I'm saying is we're doing the same thing we did 20 years ago under Martin Jol, but we're in a bigger stadium, a £1 billion stadium. We have supposedly the most amazing training ground. Why are we still doing the same things that clearly didn't work back 20 years ago? Again,
right? Okay, let me ask you this. Let me tell you this.
And everyone bangs on a lot of players like Mikey Moore, who probably won't get a game now. Other young Spurs players who apparently were going to use their youth. We're better off signing some established players and promoting some of the youth players, our own youth players, I think.
Right. Okay, but let me propose. You say that it didn't work last time.
It didn't because we only won.
No, I'm not disagreeing. Let me finish. I'm not disagreeing with you. Right? You're saying it didn't work last time, but when you think about it, a lot of those players that you named.
There were a lot of other failures, by the way. I didn't name everyone.
Yeah, there were a lot of failures in that. I feel like the way our recruitment's set up now, to be a lot more data-led and a lot more...
That's another thing. Someone told me, and I think it's a good source, by the way. So this data-led approach, we've always been using data since 2005. So this is not...
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying to you is, as the time's gone on, the data analysis gets better. It allows you to narrow down players more effectively. Like the technology, that's like you saying, but we've always had iPhones since 2001 or whenever the first iPhone was. Yeah, but that iPhone now has absolutely fuck all on the iPhone now. And that iPhone then has nothing on the iPhone now. In the same way, the process of scouting, the data you have available, the numbers you have available, the level of detail you can go into will be astronomically higher than what it was back then, allowing you to minimize your mistakes. Okay, let me ask you this question. Let's say you're trying to sign a winger and the only data you can have is successful cross percentage and sprints per 90 and successful dribbles per 90. And that's the only data you can have. The odds of you finding players that fit that criteria but are still shit are higher. If you have that data plus 30 other categories...
Yeah, I know how data works. I did a dissertation on football statistics.
Well, so why am I teaching you this?
I don't know why you're telling me about data stuff, because I don't know where you're going with this. Because let me finish. Now than it was 20 years ago. But if you look at Odobert's data in his first game, it doesn't look very good.
Oh my God, it's one fucking good. You don't look at the data once you've signed a player. You look at the data before you sign a player.
But then the problem with just the data approach, and I know this because I did a dissertation on using football statistics.
Here we go. I should have said
it removes the eye test. It removes the personality of the player. It removes a lot of other factors and circumstances which can affect these statistics, view the narrative of the statistics. Like when I did my dissertation, I was talking about home advantage. That was basically the crux of it. Yeah. And whether, for example, in derbies, there were more aggressive teams, basically more red cards. And the problem is you could push any sort of, because statistics were so, not contradicting, but could be pushed in so many different ways. Obviously, you have to follow one narrative. It's a dissertation. Yeah. So I could push it like 5-6 different ways. Oh, well, in these games, Spurs were, because I based it on 1, 2, or 3 Spurs seasons, Spurs were like less aggressive in these games, even though they were playing a derby. But then in this season, they were more aggressive. Obviously, got like red cards against Arsenal, for example, and stuff like that. So you can use the data and push it in whichever way you want. Because if you're only picking, so we have 30 stats. If you pick like the ones you like, say like 5 or 10, you ignore any other 20.
But I think data, when you're comparing like games and you're comparing
suspensions... But I think it's also applies to play, because if you look at, say, a player's complete data, like from who scored, I use who scored and Opta, you could say, well, he's very high on this, but he's very low on that. So what I'll do in an argument, I'll bring up like, just the high ones on this.
No, because I feel like I feel like when it comes down to it, Spurs will have such a large data pool of players, and then they will find players that are in the highest percentile in the as many categories as possible. If there's something they're really low in, and they believe, or the manager believes that that's a deal breaker. Let's say, for example, like Foot Manager is the best example of this, right? Let's say, for example, we have loads of stats. It's rated 1 to 20. 1 is piss poor, 20 is the highest it can get. And you're looking at a person and they're 15 or higher on the majority of things that you're looking for. And then in their determination, hold on. And in their determination and their work rate, they're 10 or below. And there's somebody else who, in the other attacking stats, their percentile is 3 or 4 lower, but their work rate and their determination is higher. Then you go for the winger who isn't maybe slightly as good, but is never going to stop running for you because they're still more than good enough to play. Like, for example, right, who's the laziest player you can think of that played on the wing? Laziest player you can think of. In fact, I've got an example. Not a winger, but I've got an example. I've got an example. Mario Balotelli, right? Yeah. His actual finishing stats, his actual creative stats, his flair, high. But the guy's a lazy bastard, right? So is it better to have someone like that, or is it better to go, I'd rather someone who's slightly more inconsistent at finishing and not quite as good, not quite as flair-filled, but he's going to give 100%, so I know that if those chances come, they're never going to stop getting them until they score.
But then another factor I forgot to mention also is the age, because if you're buying a player, say, at 19, he could get better. But then if you sign someone who's 24, 25, you know
they might not get
do it like 2 or 3 seasons.
Right, you've just bitten yourself in the bullet here. You've just given me the best example to blow you out of water. Timo Werner, when you spoke about him, your argument was with me, and I've got the podcast, I can go back and listen to it. Yeah. Your argument with me, you know exactly what I'm going to say, I can see it on your face, was he's this age, he's never going to get any better. I don't want to keep signing players.
Yeah, right? Age is a factor because he's 29. He's not
okay.
And so you are someone who's going to peak at 25, 26.
But then you're going to be paying way above a premium than what we can afford to pay.
How? It's because we chucked 30 million at Odobert, 40 million at Gray. If we put them together, we buy the top player.
And then you end up with one player and no depth. So you want a great first 11 and a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah, and then what I'm saying is, you know what Conte said? He said buy 2 to 3 players, top like 70, 60, 70, and then he would say, well, I'd happily promote the youth.
This is coming from the same manager who spent 50 million on Danny Drinkwater.
Yeah, but he still used them, and they won the league. So I don't know.
Not enough. Okay, let me remind you. Right, that last season at the Lane, we had an incredible first 11, but our rotation was Josh Onomah, a young Harry Winks, Vincent Janssen, Clinton and G, George Kevin and Kudu. Like these were the kind of players that were our rotation option.
That's because that summer, we targeted Batshuayi, Wijnaldum, Mane, and Mane didn't come because of the wages. I believe he wasn't prepared to up the wages.
Batshuayi didn't come because Chelsea came in for him.
What's Sadio Mane went to Liverpool?
No, Batshuayi didn't come because
we didn't want when he paid the money. He only went for like 30 million anyway. It wasn't even that high. Yeah. And Wijnaldum was another thing that I think in the end he chose Liverpool, so I don't really.
He chose Liverpool.
But with Mane, it was different. He was like ready to do it, and then we weren't willing to put up the wages. Yeah, because basically, obviously, Kane was highest paid player, and whatever the highest paid player gets, he Kane.
We weren't prepared to break Kane the wage structure.
Norwin's different now because we've not even got a good enough 11.
Okay, but let me ask you.
We've got problems up front.
Okay, hold on.
Is this 11 going to win the title? No way in hell.
Hold on. Right. If you're gonna, I'm going to go for it. I genuinely don't want you to be stupid here. Don't come out with those daft things you can do, right? On paper, not like, he's a bit weak in court, whatever. On paper, is Vicario, if the defence is good enough, a good enough keeper to win the league? Yes.
No.
Fucking hell, we're not going to go and say, it's one game. Oh, my God. Right. Vicario was one of the most consistent.
Vicario is he can't deal with set pieces, man, and crosses. It's just very.
No, but our entire team can't deal with set pieces. So let's not
put it this way: if we had Raya, you get a different answer.
Okay, and David Raya's 6 foot and he couldn't catch fucking cold. So
What do you mean? Did you not watch them?
And what you talking?
He basically won the game for Arsenal.
Okay, and did you mention David Raya's multiple mistakes last season?
Yeah, and how about Vicaria's multiple mistakes?
I'm going to agree to disagree on that. Right. Anyway, Christian Romero, is he good enough to win the title? Yes. Van der Ven, is he good enough to win the title? Yes.
I'm saying 8 out of 10 for Christian Romero.
What?
He switches off a lot.
Real Madrid want to sign him. Harry, is Romero good enough to play in a title-winning team? No. Bearing in mind he's won the World Cup for Argentina. Oh my God!
I have a bias against Romero anyway, so that's probably a factor. So
right, take your bias out of it for a second. He's won. Right, before I go and kill myself, Romero's won 2 World Cups. I know he's
won, but so did John Obi Mikel. He won titles at Chelsea.
You do. Right, fucking let's just go sign Victor Moses and Mark Alonso and Danny Drinkwater, rebuild Chelsea's team, bring Conte in. Right. Anyway, Van der Ven, is he good enough to win the title?
Yeah, I agree with that one, yeah.
Destiny Udogie, is he good enough to win the title? Yes.
No, he's too young. He's not ready.
How old was Ashley Cole when he won his first title with us?
Not Ashley Cole, we're not talking about...
You can't tell me a player's not ready because of their age.
No, Ashley Cole was in his prime. Udogie's still
not when he first won the title with Thingy.
Well, with Arsenal. Do you know what the Arsenal team were?
Roughly.
Yeah, they were all. He was probably the only young player in that whole team. If you're going to make that argument,
But you still can't. Age isn't a factor. I'm on about actual ability.
It is a factor. No, it is a factor because you need experience around these young players.
Alphonso Davies was 19 when he won the league for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, how old were the players in that team?
There was a balance of youth and experience at the time.
No, there wasn't that many youth in that Bayern team. You had Muller, the goalkeeper, who could guide them as well.
Right, I'm not on about can they win the league with Spurs with this current team. I'm on about are they good enough to win the league if they played for any team in the league.
I said no, Doggies for me, no.
Right, I disagree with you. Pedro Porro.
Yes, I'm agreeing with that.
Right, finally, thank fuck for that. We've said Van der Ven already. I'm going through starting them, so that's fine. James Maddison, I'd say no.
No.
Because I think he's too inconsistent. No. I'd agree with you on that one. I think he's too inconsistent. Basuma, I'd say maybe depending on what team he played in.
He's not consistent enough, man. He did
if you put Basuma in that Arsenal midfield with how they played last season, I think they're the one.
I don't think he gets into that Arsenal midfield.
He probably doesn't, but that's not the point.
It is the point. He will get season either, and then won the league, didn't they?
Rodrigo Bentancur. Yes, because he's literally signed him from a title-winning team. What is your problem?
Let me finish. Bentancur's had this massive injury at ACL. He's not been the same player since he came back.
Right, I'll let you off with the ACL. I forgot about
and don't say Sarr, because I'm fucking lose it if you mention Sarr as the title-winning midfielder.
Not right now, but he definitely has the potential to be. Yeah, in 2 more years, he's ridiculous. Sarr's ridiculously young now.
Problem with Sarr is he needs to improve his end product, otherwise just forget it.
He's a box-to-box midfielder. What end product do you want?
No, I mean as in his box crashing is called nowadays. Box crashing is called, yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Basically, like Lampard used to do. Not exactly, yeah, box crashing.
Fucking hell, man's just gone. I want Pap Sarr to be Frank Lampard. Jesus Christ!
No, I'm saying score more goals, mate. More assists, goals.
Odobert, I'm going to say no, not right now.
Hell no.
But don't be disrespectful. Like if Odobert leaves, right? Okay, let's say Odobert leaves us in 2 years' time and goes to win the Champions League with PSG. You're gonna look like a right fucking donut. Bear in mind, this is
the Champions League ever, mate.
Well, good point. Exactly.
He's not going to win the Champions League with Odobert if they haven't won it with Mbappe.
All right, that's the first sensible thing you've said the entire podcast. We're all saying
with Mbappe.
Bergville again. It's too early to tell. I think he could have the potential to, but again, he's far too young to tell.
This is a problem. Oh well, they have potential, but they couldn't.
No, but right, Son, not for us clearly because we're not capable of wins.
Not anymore.
I think if he played in Man City's team, I think he could. Because you can't tell me he's slower than.
He didn't even start for Man City
over Grealish.
No, I think he'll play Grealish. He doesn't have the same pace he has anymore, Sonny.
He still has more pace than Jack Grealish. Werner is. I'd say Werner. Right, so now we'd say Werner no, but he won the Champions League with Chelsea literally 2.5 years ago.
Doesn't mean he's amazing.
No, he doesn't. Solanke, right?
I'm saying no.
Hear me out on this.
With one season.
Hear me out on this. I'm going to say yes, just purely for the fact that if you put him at centre forward in this current Arsenal team, I think he'd win the league, and I think he'd score a fair amount of goals.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The problem with Solanke is if we have to speak to Arthur this season with Solanke.
Yeah. We need to give him a full season.
If he doesn't have, it's not good enough. Then
right? Can we agree to say now then that until the end of the season, we're not going to criticise Solanke. We're not going to have a go at him for 20 minutes, bad minutes here or there. We're just going to leave it and then look at his numbers at the end of the season and then decide.
I can't say analyse him. We can
analyse him. We can analyse him. But what I'm saying is, outright just slandering him until the end of the season. I think it's 90% of the words that come out your job. Richarlison, I'm going to say no.
Hell no.
Brennan Johnson, I'm going to say no.
No.
And Kulusevski, I'm going to say yes.
No. I'm purely saying no.
The reason why I'm going to say yes for Kulusevski, if you listen to Pep Guardiola's comments about how he would utilise him and the qualities he sees in him, I think if he was playing for a Manchester City,
because all Pep would do is put him in his 4 behind Haaland, probably.
And that is where we've started to play him, and that's where he's been really effective.
It took Angie a year to realise to play him in the middle.
Right, but we're still playing him there now. So, and he was actually a lot more effective when he got there.
Don't get me wrong, I like him, and I like Bentancur as well, but I think Bentancur's a problem now because of his injuries. But
his injury, yeah.
I just think he's really consistent, Kulusevski.
I think he is, but I think it's hard to judge any player.
The problem with him is that we haven't seen him have a run in one position.
Yeah, but this is what makes me think though. This is what makes me think though. Apart from Werner, it's hard to judge any players based on the inconsistencies of the attack last season because the whole attack was inconsistent. Even when we were defending really well, or even when our midfield transitions were good, and we were having loads and loads of chances, their attack just was not consistent at all.
For me,
I was at the Fulham game. I was at the Fulham game last year when we won 2-0. And we could have scored 6 goals in that game comfortably.
But we also went and lost
3-0
at the Craven Cottage.
Yeah, but why are you going to make it more depressing,
I'm just saying, because it's you need unless we have defensive balance, we're going to struggle. It's just how it is. This team has no defensive balance.
Anyway.
2 simple solutions. Buy number 6 or don't play inverted fullbacks every bloody game.
Oh, I don't think either is a solution, but we're going to agree to disagree on this. So
drop the line a bit, mate, as well.
If you're watching, I disagree with that as well. I disagree with that as well.
They're going to just play one long ball to Saka, and it's going to be like curtains.
I disagree with that as well. But anyway, what was this? So what are you giving the transfer window overall? Okay, hold on. I want an ins out of 10, an outs out of 10, and an overall. Go.
Outs 10 because I wanted them to fuck off. So,
even though we didn't sell Regulon.
Actually, no. I'm saying no. I revised that at 8 because I didn't want Odobert to go. Lo Celso, so they're my last 2 points taken off. Ins 1. Because apart from Solanke, we haven't signed a first team player. So overall, I guess the average is 4.5.
I'm not even going to entertain that comment. I can't believe you just said that. I'm going to say outs 9. I just wanted Regulon to go, and I think we're going to make a little bit more money. Incomings 6. I do think we need more. I do think we need a little bit more. I don't disagree with you that we need a bit more experience, but slandering the young players before they barely kicked the ball just because we didn't get experience is not the right way to go.
I'm saying because we sign these young players, the likes of Van der Ven and Romero, by the time these young players become good, will probably be gone. They probably won't be here. So we're going to have another problem to solve in defence, personnel-wise, not just tactics.
But that's your opinion, though.
No, it's because, you were talking about Romero to Real Madrid already. So if Romero goes to Real Madrid, I know you're going to say play Dragustin, but then we have still sign us another 2 centre-backs then, I guess, instead of 1, but at that point. But so it's and then Van der Ven, City already were watching him last season, I think. Yeah.
Anyway.
And Borough City were looking at him, I think, as well, weren't it? That's why the two.
Porro won't go back to City because
I know he won't go back.
This.
I'm saying, but those are the two players. That's why those are the two players I said would get into a title winning side. Because let's face it, I mean that's just the two City were looking at both of them really. So,
but we can't judge players based on their ability to win the league or not, based on whether City would sign them. You can win the league for other teams.
City win the title every season, pretty much. So,
well, anyway,
yeah, I don't see Porro going back either.
What do you think needs to be what? Okay, you can sign one signing in January for 50 million, not player, just position. What do you sign? I swear to God, if you say what I think you're going to say, I'm going to scream.
Number 6.
No, Harry. Our problem is scoring goals.
We have problems scoring and problems conceding as well, though. So.
Have you ever seen that tweet from David Moyes when he's at Man United that says, in the next game we need to improve on attacking, defending, and midfield play? Right. Anyway. If I'd say a left winger, I'd say long-term Son replacement. I think that has to be the priority. Just purely because I still stand by, I think Archie Gray and Basuma, once they're playing week in, week out, both of them, one's playing one fixture, one's playing another, and they're playing in the opposite one, whatever, I think you'll change your mind on Archie Gray by the end of the season. I really do.
I hope I do, but I have very low expectations for him. So.
Anyway, this short podcast has lasted an hour and has been me and Harry shouting at each other for the last 20 minutes. Hey, listen, guys, we don't settle for just giving an opinion and then moving on, like some Tottenham podcasts, not saying who or what. We will challenge each other to the bitter end till we hate each other black and blue. I'd like to point out, Harry's not this confrontational in person, and he's not this confrontational
I know, it's just
the pub either. It's just the minute the camera goes on and we start talking about Spurs, that's it. If we recorded like an actual like IRL podcast episode, trust me, Harry would not be half as confrontational.
I know we'll
that's the transfer window discussed. Next season we're going to preview the Arsenal game. Unfortunately, I'm going to try and get an Arsenal fan on for that, but without making the same joke for the third time in a row, it's hard to find an Arsenal fan that can tolerate. He's not Ian Wright, and he won't answer my calls. So yeah, like, subscribe, give the podcast a 5-star review on Spotify, please. Don't hate us, I promise. It's not an act. It's not an act. We do generally actually debate each other's opinions. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else really to say, to be fair. I think we've actually ended up going on a lot more of a tangent than I kind of expected us to. But yeah, other than that, guys, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. Also. That was really good. The Football Manager giveaway is now live on my TikTok. The links are in the description. You can win a copy of Football Manager 2025 on whatever platform you're playing on, and you can win a mystery shirt of your choice to help you pick your new FM save. All the details are on one of my pinned TikToks. There's 3. One where I say I wish Spurs wasn't shit. One where I made a £100 bet with a guy about whether Andrews was going to get sacked before the end of the season. And the other one is the FM giveaway. So go over there, leave the comments, whatever. The FM Discord is also in the description, so you can jump in. The Discord community is fantastic. They're a great bunch of lads out there. And I've had a really, really difficult couple of weeks mentally, and they've been absolutely fantastic. So they're a really great group of lads. Some lads from Spain, some lads from Germany, some of his English boys. There's all sorts of people in there, all different backgrounds. We all love Football Manager. We all love our football club, so it's really, really good fun. And I stream Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays from 9:30 until whatever time I go to bed. We're currently in season 4 with Wolfsburg, season 5 and save, I think. I've got a round of 16 Champions League game against PSG to play. By the time this comes out, you all have seen the tweets about whether I'm sad or whether I'm happy. But yeah, it's a really good fun. It's a really good community, and we're really building something really good over there. So come over, take part. That'd be great. And the giveaway is free. You can win free shit. So why wouldn't you? Other than that, as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.